For hyper-Bitcoinization, for the dollar to lose all of its value, or for actual sat dollar parity? I discussed it earlier today with Luke Burrows. It's probably somewhere between 2030 and 2038, I kind of think. It's simply a guess based on how things are getting shorter, the cycles are getting closer together and the contractions are growing harder. I kind of use the model that Howe and Strauss built with the fourth turning to arrive at the 2020-2030-2020-2038 timeframes. I identify 2008 as the start of this fourth turning. Fourth turns have also persisted. The Civil War lasted anything from 7 to 10 years, and it's more likely that it lasted 15, 20, or even 30 years. Thus, 2028 will mark 20 years if you sort of think that, so we're not at 20. 30 years would pass in 2038. This monetary system is dead, in my opinion, much before 2038. As a proponent of sound money, a fan of Bitcoin, and an investment manager at Equity Management Associates, Lawrence Lepard wears many hats. Having managed gold stock funds in the past and being a proponent of sound money concepts, Lepard has spent years encouraging clients to buy gold as a hedge against the ongoing depreciation of fiat currencies. But with Bitcoin's introduction, Lepard's work has been easier because the top cryptocurrency offers digital gold, a better substitute. With its many advantages over conventional gold and its strong defense against currency depreciation, Bitcoin has drawn Lepard's interest. Lepard recently gave a rather optimistic price forecast for Bitcoin in an interview with Gold Republic, predicting that the most popular cryptocurrency will one day be worth millions of dollars per coin. This prediction is based on growing concerns that the situation would worsen in the upcoming years in addition to the continued depreciation of fiat currencies. In conversations with Alexis Jordanoff, Lepard provided an optimistic 2028 to 2038 timeline for the expected collapse of the existing financial system and the shift to a worldwide Bitcoin standard. Lepard used the Strauss-Howe generational theory to estimate the cycle's beginning and possible end. He emphasized the quick development of a new cycle that was sparked by the financial system's near collapse in 2008. Lepard believes that in the coming years, the world will experience a change from inflation to hyperinflation due to the huge $315 trillion debt load on its shoulders. This will culminate in what he refers to as the hype moment, when Bitcoin surpasses traditional currencies to become the most widely used form of money worldwide. Watch this space for tidbits from Lepard's interview with Gold Republic, in which he talks about the status of the US and world economies, the function of Bitcoin, and the inescapable shift to a worldwide Bitcoin standard. Indeed, all money is useless, including the dollar and frank's worth, and we're using the Bitcoin standard. That's approximately what I anticipate happening. All right, that's soon. Yes, that will happen soon. However, like I mentioned earlier, I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, so be ready for me to make mistakes in the future. In 14 years, I'll be your coach. Yes, once more, there are two ways they could escape, and I'll tell you how. Perhaps three, actually. One is that they just follow the same strategy we used following World War II, which is to maintain extremely high inflation rates until the level of national debt is reduced to a point where they can once again take control of the monetary system. Thus, they sort of salvage it, quote-unquote. It is comparable to a Volcker, albeit spanning 7 or 8 years. When Israel faced a similar issue, they took a similar action. Another option would be to implement a one-time monetary reset a la Roosevelt, revaluing the gold. He seized it. Overnight, the dollar's worth in terms of gold fell by 70%. It would just take a clever person in the administration to realize that the current monetary system is broken and that a 10 to $1 split is the solution. The new dollar is backed by gold, oil, a basket of currencies, or anything else that can't be printed, so it's sound even though old dollars are worth 10. The worst case scenario is that everything fails. Recognize what I mean. The alternative, in other words, is akin to Mad Max. Yes, it won't be Mad Max, but it will be extremely chaotic and very short-lived with a great deal of hyperinflation. We might reach a point when the price of Bitcoin is significantly higher than the price of a dollar in Bitcoin words. There is still a difference, but it is parallel. But in the end, it comes back to what I mentioned earlier in the interview, which is that when the general public comes to the realization that the dollar is worthless, there's really no reason. Well, it works well for transactions, but that's about it. They will follow the same course as the citizens of Weimar, Germany in 1922. They will convert money the moment they get their hands on one. No one desires to hold it. It resembles a spicy potato. All they want is to leave. To leave. We refer to it as Gresham's Law. In exchange for a currency that you know will retain or grow in value, you are getting rid of one that you know will lose purchasing power. Thus, that process will quicken, and in the same way that everyone abruptly realized, holy shit, this bank is bankrupt. I got to get my money out of there. In the Silicon Valley Bank case, it might occur quickly. It could occur really quickly. We're also linked to the internet and social media that you should not rule out the chance that it could occur swiftly and before 2030. It becomes self-fulfilling when the whole nation realizes the currency is a joke and is running out of value. Since we all rely on the money as a reliable means of exchange, that's why trading with one another, but it's also happening over a medium period of time. It ought to hold on to its worth. You know, it can degrade at a rate of 7% annually for extended periods of time and still be viable. However, when debasing begins, you know, at 10% per month, I mean, hyperinflation is defined as 50% per month, and we've had more than 100 hyperinflations in the last 200 years, and we're currently experiencing one that's kind of moderate in Turkey. Venezuela experienced one particularly bad one where the money lost all of its value. There are a ton of further instances. You know, Hungary, you just have to go through it. You know, there are a lot of them in Zimbabwe. And they all appear to have the same traits, which are that the currency begins to depreciate gradually at first, before accelerating. The swings get more expansive and swifter. And then before long, everyone is saying, oh, this is like, screw this, I'm leaving this place, I will no longer be holding this, you know, and it starts to look really beautiful. You see, as I was staring at the camera, I was staring at the maths. It was, I believe, about Turkey, what people were purchasing, how much items cost, and things that were spoken in Turkish. So, franc is present. I believe that to be a Turkish franc. Turkish lira. I apologize. Yes. The Turkish lira, too. It is like, you know, 200 times more expensive to buy items now than they were a few years ago. It follows that some of them are merely present. We can obtain 20 bits on trillions of dollars, see? Come on, let's get started. Some of them, I believe, sort of get it and comprehend it. Many of them, I believe, will commit the classic error that one of my friends, a wealthy guy with whom I was recently speaking, said, I don't know, man, you know, I was talking to him, it was 50,000. You know, my average cost is substantially lower, so I don't know. You know, God, you informed me about it when I was 25, and I should have bought it then since it was 100% up. How do I purchase it? And I said to him, dude, you're not getting it at all, really. Does it really matter if you paid $25 or $50 if it's $1 million? Of course it matters, you receive twice as much. However, the point is, it's clearly rising considerably faster. Therefore, I believe that many Wall Streeters will do the typical error of selling it when it has increased by 200%. Do you get my meaning? I think a lot of people are going to make that error because they don't fully comprehend what they believe in or the extent to which this phenomenon can progress. You understand that, I mean, it's okay. It's their right to do so. However, you are aware. You already know that. It takes time to completely and thoroughly comprehend how fundamental this thing is and how much it will rise for a very long time because you have researched and worked with it for a while. Laura, sales will only continue to rise. Really, I concur with him. And, you know, let me give you my ideal illustration of what I mean. I've given numerous instances. When Microsoft went public in 1984 or 1985, I believe I purchased the company. I needed to buy a condominium, so I sold it after making 3 times my initial income. That was an error, correct? Since it represented the foundation of the PC's software technology. In the end, Apple and everything else emerged. The main point is that when I left, I felt fantastic and had made 300% more money than I had initially, right? You don't sell something when you have something basic that will alter over several years or even decades. You just can't make it sell. It resembles a sale. Take Manhattan real estate as an example.